Welcome, aviation enthusiasts and curious minds alike. Today we delve into the chilling tale of Air France Flight 447. It was the first day of June in the year 2009. An Airbus A330, a marvel of modern aviation, was preparing to embark on a routine journey. Its path was charted from the vibrant city of Rio de Janeiro to the romantic heart of Paris. Aboard this ill-fated flight were 228 souls. This number included a trained and seasoned crew of 12, and 216 passengers from 32 different nations, each with their own stories, hopes, and dreams. All were oblivious to the tragic end that awaited their journey. This was a flight like any other, a transatlantic crossing that had been made countless times before. Yet, it was destined for disaster. A routine intercontinental flight, destined for disaster. What could have gone wrong? As Flight 447 cruised at 35,000 feet, a silent and invisible foe lay in wait. High above the Atlantic Ocean, the Airbus A330 was about to encounter a high-altitude tropical storm, a common but potentially dangerous event in the life of any aircraft. This storm was not just a mass of rain and wind. It was a complex, unpredictable force of nature. The perilous weather conditions were a threat, yes, but the real danger was something far more insidious and unexpected. Enter the pitot tubes. These small, unassuming devices play a critical role in flight. They measure the speed of the aircraft relative to the surrounding air, a vital piece of information for the pilots. Yet they have an Achilles heel. In severe weather conditions, these tubes can malfunction. In the case of Flight 447, the storm's heavy precipitation and icy conditions caused the pitot tubes to freeze. This resulted in incorrect speed readings being relayed to the pilots, leading to confusion and uncertainty in the cockpit. The malfunctioning pitot tubes were certainly a significant problem, but they were not the only ones. The situation was further complicated by the severity of the storm and the remarkable speed at which events unfolded. In the midst of a raging storm, a crucial instrument failed. But was that the only factor? The investigation into the demise of Flight 447 would uncover a cascade of errors that contributed to the tragedy. With their speed readings gone, the crew of Flight 447 found themselves in a high-stakes puzzle. Imagine being in a darkened cockpit, cruising high above the Atlantic. The familiar hum of the engines is your only comfort as the instruments before you become stubbornly mute. Your speed readings have vanished, and the world outside is a swirling vortex of storm clouds. This was the predicament facing the crew of Air France Flight 447. Faced with an eerie silence from their instruments, the crew's response was a cocktail of confusion and panic. The captain, a veteran of the skies, was away on a routine rest break, leaving the first officer and the junior pilot to grapple with the unfolding crisis. The two young pilots found themselves in a situation they had never encountered before, not in their training, not in their careers. The loss of airspeed readings was a rare anomaly, one that sent them scrambling for solutions in the dark. What followed was a cascade of errors that turned a manageable crisis into a fatal disaster. The pilots, uncertain of their true airspeed, made inappropriate control inputs, pitching the nose of the aircraft up rather than down. This action, contrary to the usual protocol in an airspeed loss situation, led to a critical stall from which the aircraft would never recover. Meanwhile, communication in the cockpit was breaking down. The pilots were speaking different languages, both literally and metaphorically. They were not coordinating their inputs, leading to mixed signals being sent to the aircraft's control systems. This lack of synergy, this absence of a unified response, was a significant factor in the tragedy that was about to unfold. The captain returned to the cockpit, but by then, the Airbus was in an unrecoverable stall, plummeting towards the Atlantic Ocean. He found his crew confused, his airplane unresponsive, and his speed readings still absent. The crew's actions rather than saving the aircraft sealed its fate. But why? The answer to this question lies in the hearts and minds of those in the cockpit that fateful night. It's a question that haunts the aviation industry to this day, a sobering reminder of the human factor in the machine. In the face of technical failures, human response becomes paramount. So let's talk about the human factor in aviation. It's a complex, multifaceted component of flight safety that often doesn't get the attention it deserves. It's not just about technical knowledge, but also about how pilots respond to stress, how they handle confusion, and how they make decisions when the chips are down. Imagine yourself in the cockpit of Flight 447. You're far from land, flying through a violent storm. Your instruments are feeding you conflicting information. You're stressed, confused, and the clock is ticking. In these moments, training is supposed to kick in. But what if that training isn't sufficient? What if it doesn't cover the exact scenario you're facing? That's when mistakes can happen. That's when a pilot might pull up when they should push down, or ignore a crucial warning because they're focused on a less important indicator. The crew of Flight 447 found themselves in such a scenario. Their pitot tubes, crucial for determining airspeed, had frozen over. The autopilot disengaged. They were left to fly manually, in the dark, during a storm. And they made a catastrophic decision. The human factor is not about blame. It's about understanding how stress, confusion, and lack of training can lead to fatal decisions. It's about learning from those mistakes to make aviation safer. Ultimately, it was a tragic blend of technical failure and human error that brought down Flight 447. The disaster of Flight 447 was a wake-up call for the aviation industry. In the aftermath of the crash, critical changes were made to both pilot training and pitot tube design. Emphasis was placed on understanding and responding to severe weather conditions, with enhanced training simulations and improved equipment. Pitot tubes, the unseen enemy in this incident, underwent a design overhaul to prevent future malfunctions due to weather anomalies. But the most significant change was perhaps the renewed commitment to a learning culture within the industry. Every incident, every error, every life lost is a lesson in the relentless pursuit of safety. This commitment is a testament to the industry's dedication to preventing future tragedies, to ensuring that the lives lost on Flight 447 were not in vain. In memory of those lost, the aviation world strives to learn and evolve, turning tragedy into progress.